What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez. And listen, we are almost at training camp. The summer break for the NFL and the NFL players is almost done, and they're going to be getting it going in full-on training camp in about a week. We will talk about some specifics of that a little bit later on in the show, but I want to talk about maybe the forgotten man in the run game first here on Jets Latest. We've talked a lot about Braylon Allen, who's primed for a breakout, what the kind of ceiling, the usage will be for Breece Hall, Justin Fields as a dual threat. But remember, there was another rookie last year in addition to Braylon Allen, and that was Isaiah Davis. I want to give him a little bit of shine as well, because quite frankly, he played pretty well in limited duty, and he really gives us good depth at the running back position, okay? Check this out. Limited duty, like I said, only 30 carries, but 174 yards, almost 6 yards a carry. He gained 4 or more yards on 60% of his carries, 4.2 yards after contact per carry. That is a strong number. Remember, only 30 carries, but six missed tackles right there. That's a good number given the limited duty, and no drops, no fumbles when he was on the field. You know, ball security and turnovers is something that Aaron Glenn is stressing this year for the 2025 green and white. And here's what Aaron Glenn had to say. He's been talking about the entire running back room a lot. Check out what he said. He goes, I would say that we have 3 running backs on this team that we're going to utilize as much as possible. I don't know if there are 3 backs in the league that have the potential like these 3. I think that's really important. Now listen, I believe he is still the number 3 back, okay? I'm expecting a good, efficient year out of Breece Hall. Remember, behind a improved, young, strong offensive line. Braylon Allen is starting to get a lot of buzz to be a breakout candidate in his second year, especially in that kind of short yardage goal line situation. But Isaiah Davis, I think, is good as well. Not going to get a ton of work barring injury, but I think it's important to kind of have that depth. And don't forget, we also signed, remember, Donovan Edwards, the undrafted free agent out of Michigan, who has some potential as well. I think we're going to carry all 4 of those running backs. And quite frankly, an improved run game is going to be huge for the Jets, in my opinion. Remember, they finished 31st in the NFL last year in terms of rushing yards, and I really believe they're going to get into the top 10. And some of those teams that had strong run attacks and the dual threat quarterbacks went very far in the playoffs, like the Baltimore Ravens, like the Washington Commanders. Oh yeah, and like the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. So keep an eye out for that, and I think Isaiah Davis is going to be a part of that. One of the things I talk about here on Jets Latest all the time is the idea that we are going to look a little bit like the Detroit Lions and that turnaround situation from what Dan Campbell did there in Detroit as a former player for the Lions. I made that comparison with Aaron Glenn. We have a lot of the coaches, Tanner Engstrand, right? And I've kind of been making comparisons to different players on the Lions vis-a-vis players on the Jets. And one of them is Jared Goff. And we have been talking about how Jared Goff is an example where in his second act, right, with a new franchise that believed in him, that kind of built around him with a coaching staff that wanted him, what he has been able to do. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a series on Netflix called Quarterback, right? And Jared Goff is one of the featured guys. And I thought that he had a quote very early on describing when he was traded from the Rams to the Detroit Lions that I think is really emblematic and kind of goes under the radar about the feeling of it that I believe Justin Fields can have right now as well. Listen to what Jared Goff said on that Netflix show. He goes, "It brought me from a moment of picking up the pieces to being reinvigorated with this energy of, oh, this is what it feels like to be truly wanted and to have guys behind you. I hadn't felt that in quite some time. Some thought I was being cast aside or sent to having my career die. For me, I saw it as what an incredible opportunity to be somewhere that hasn't been to the top of the mountain. How incredible would it be if we're able to build this into a winner, to be with a first-time head coach, a first-time GM, and prove them right. It's been so incredible to build with them. It's been special." If you've been watching the show, you see he almost gets choked up. He gets emotional about it, quite frankly. He almost cries. And listen, Justin Fields is very similar, right? First-time head coach, first-time GM, the chip on his shoulder to prove them right. Some thinking he's being cast aside as his last chance to be a starting quarterback in this league. Chicago gave up on him. Pittsburgh gave up on him. But what an opportunity to take this franchise, who also many people believe is a laughing stock, not many people have faith in, right? And so I've been talking about this second act, not only with guys like Jared Goff, guys like Baker Mayfield as well. And I just really thought it was important to hear that exact kind of thing from Jared Goff. And listen, in that first season, okay, they started something like 0-10-1. But look at the turnaround now. right? They are division champions. They were getting buys in the playoffs. They were in the NFC Championship game. So that's why I say this is going to take some time, but if we are patient, this could also happen for the green and white. You heard Dan Campbell on that show also being like, everybody needs their quarterback, that guy, and he is our guy. And we are doing the same thing with Justin Fields. We didn't draft anybody, right? We didn't sign anybody. It is clear Fields is our guy. And I think similar progressions can happen with Justin Fields. And also, that progression is going to continue at training camp, which is now just 1 week away. Okay, the Jets report next week to training camp. They report on July 22nd. They have their first practice on July 23rd. And look at some of the key dates here in training camp. Like I said, their first practice Wednesday, July 23rd. They got a lot of practices open to the public, which I think is awesome. Starting on Friday, July 25th, green and white day on the Saturday. Then preseason games against the Packers, the Giants, and the Eagles. And don't forget about that joint practice that they are going to have with the Giants. Okay, I think that's where you're going to see a lot of one-on-one reps. That's when you're going to see a first team and first team. A lot of these guys don't play as much in the preseason anymore, but this is more of a controlled environment with those joint practices, and I really think that is going to be special, all geared towards the regular season opener against Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday, September 7th. We've also gotten some reports about the idea that this is going to be a little bit more physical for the Jets in training camp. They're going to actually work on tackling. They're going to actually go full go as Aaron Glenn continues to try to insert this culture, a new vision, a new standard for the green and white. So if you want to get out to some of those public practices, those are some of the dates, and those are key dates. But listen, I'm excited because it is going to start in just a week's time. And honestly, judging by the growth here of the Jets' latest channel, judging by some of the comments that I am seeing, you guys are excited too. So I want to share some of the comments that we have seen. First, from Mizzo9. Remember, we talked about Sauce Gardner a lot last week. He goes, glad to see Sauce is bulking up a little. I hope it's not to slow him down. Remember, we talked about how he's added some weight. He's around 200 pounds. He feels more explosive. Same thing from Antonio E. Lombardo, 8571, who says in the comments, appreciate the update, brother. Sauce is that dude. Let's pay him. Jets, 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 Jets. Still, the contract extensions for Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, I still believe are on the horizon, may be coming very soon. And then another comment, listen, I'm really happy. I'm excited, and I'm thankful. A lot of the comments you guys make are positive about what you're hearing from me on Jets Latest. I really like it. So George Alston, 1933 says, love your perspective and insights. You bring the energy and the truth. Keep rising. Thank you so much for saying that, George, and to everybody else who says positive things like that on the comments. We are growing this channel thanks to the subscribers. And like I said, watch these videos, like these videos, tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. I will continue to bring you the energy, to bring you the analysis, the quotes, the stats, try to mix optimism with reality at times here. I do think the arrow is pointing up, but we will see what happens, and training camp is only a week away. So I know everybody out there is excited. So am I. Hit me up in the comments, engage with me on social media at Spittin' Speeds, and if you want to hear more from me, plenty of ways to do so, okay? I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM. You got to check it out. FTN Fantasy is a great website with tools, data, rankings, projections, all sorts of stuff to be a better fantasy player and a better sports bettor. And you can also see me on Sports Grid TV a couple of nights a week. I host a show called In Game Live. Okay, live betting is all the rage right now. We go around the world of sports every night to all the games, try to find those live betting opportunities. Okay, so you could always check me out there. But if what you need is the green and white, the Jets, 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 I will be here on Jets Latest. It is coming to training camp, and then this season, I think it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully, you stick with me and check us out every single day, as we'll be bringing you what you need for the 2025 Jets, all right? So we'll see you more tomorrow, but for this episode of Jets Latest, we out of here.